What are the main forces currently shaping the future of work? What impacts do you see these having on Canada's future economy and on our workforce? And perhaps most importantly, are we ready?
Well, there are a number of forces that I would say are impacting the need to rethink the workplace of the future. One, I have to say, is the pandemic itself. Every part of society has been impacted by COVID-19. And it's going to take some time for us to work our way out of this challenge. And we really have to think about how to go about changing the workplace so that we can emerge from this challenge, but also hopefully build a better sector, build a better province, build a better nation that will be more resilient for future pandemics. So that's one force that is really impacting what all of us do, regardless of what sector we're in. The second thing would be digital technologies. There are exciting opportunities that are coming online. Even if you compare today to just a few years ago, digital technologies in many ways is much more robust than just a few years ago. So whether you're looking at applications or whether you're looking at platforms, whether you're looking at artificial intelligence and machine learning, if you're looking at the possibility of quantum computing and augmented or virtual reality, all of those are tremendously advanced over just a few years ago. And Canada leads in many of those technologies. And we would be really remiss if we didn't take advantage of our strength, comparative strength in those areas, in rethinking the future workplace. We should integrate those things into how we go about work. I would say the pandemic has actually shone a light on how we can change the way we go about work. Many of us see that large parts of our space utilization can be re-envisioned, that many of the things that we do can be done remotely. So that has cost implications in terms of efficiencies. It provides opportunities, and we should seize this moment to rethink that and to integrate that into the workplace of the future. The third is that there are major forces that are going to be threatening civilization in general, such as climate change, and all institutions need to think about how they go about their business, thinking about those great threats. So those are three major forces that I can point to: a pandemic, technological change and disruption, and third, what's happening with respect to the climate that will really impact on the future of work.
Does COVID-19 have any bearing on the kind of skills that professionals, entrepreneurs will need to succeed in the future economy?
Well, I think that both STEM-related or hard skills and soft skills will be needed in both the pre-pandemic and post-pandemic economy, to be frank. One of the things that we're monitoring, and not just our sector, in many sectors as well, is the impact of the pandemic on the wellness of their workforce. And what we're hearing across the board is that a pandemic has an extraordinarily negative impact on the wellness of the workforce. And so you cannot have institutions that don't have those soft skills in dealing with the challenges that our own employees, our own faculty and staff are experiencing. And we also have to have empathy because there are many challenges throughout society. So those soft skills are going to be just as important as pre-pandemic. I would say in terms of the economy of a region or province or city or a nation, certainly we are all thinking locally and nationally about how to restart the economy. The economy has taken an unprecedented hit. And so we will have to be innovative. We will have to really think about how to leverage training in such a way that we have a workforce that will allow us to reinvigorate the economy. Universities and colleges will necessarily be the spark plugs that are required to reactivate the economy. And in that process, we need to seize the opportunity to think about what kinds of skills will enable us to transition into that new kind of post-pandemic economy.
Where are those skills acquired? Where do you buy them? And I'm talking specifically for youth and young entrepreneurs and professionals, but perhaps also for people at a later stage in their career who need to retool, reskill.
Well, we need to do both because there are a lot of people who have lost jobs, and some of those jobs will not reappear. The blow of the pandemic will be, in some cases, crippling. And so we owe it to Canadians, and in my case, British Columbians, to retrain individuals that find themselves unemployable. And so both universities and colleges and the corporate sector will have to partner together to develop those training programs, many of which do not exist today. And the time for us to plan for those training programs is now. The conversations are starting, and it really has to, by definition, be a collaboration between academia, government, and industry. And sometimes it'll be a bilateral conversation, sometimes it'll be a trilateral conversation, sometimes it'll require introspection into what a company will do or what academia will do. But in all cases, we have to come together and be on the same page because resources are stretched thin. And the investments that we make, fortunately here in Canada and North America and much of Western civilization, we have the resources to address what's happened. But we don't have the luxury to make many mistakes. And so taking the time to come together in trilateral conversations to really develop a robust plan to address this unprecedented situation will be of paramount importance.
If I ask you about the role of academia in developing Canada's future workforce, what is it?
The first thing I would say is that academia has to behave a little bit differently than what it has in the past. Now, much of what academia does should remain the same. So the last thing that, in my opinion, should happen is that universities and colleges need to completely change and disrupt what they're doing. I don't think they should do that because there will always be a need for fundamental research, fundamental inquiry. Disciplinary strengths in faculties, in universities, in colleges are necessary because they're the seed corn for future innovation. If you think about what's needed for us to develop a vaccine or vaccines or therapeutics for COVID-19 to provide a very, very critical example of the need of academia, that's going to come from fundamental discoveries that are made in research universities. We can't stop that because if we stop that, we'll be in the same position we are now, ill-prepared to deal with the challenges of the future. So universities can't stop focusing on disciplinary strength and on innovation in general, because those are the solutions that we don't have today. So number one. Number two, universities, academia cannot stop supporting things such as humanities and social sciences and history and philosophy. Those are really critical soft skills, as you've mentioned, and as I've articulated on ideas and the current. Those are critical so that future leaders in whatever sector are informed by doing what's right from an ethical and historical perspective. So that's important as well. It would be a mistake for us to shift towards completely a STEM-focused educational foundation in academia. We can't do that. But academics and people like myself, other university presidents and provosts and deans, do have to, I think, interact more in the dialogue with government and with industry. Because we have a critical role, beyond what I've said, in shaping the workforce of the future, for the future economy. And so we cannot be in an ivory tower. We have to speak with companies and we have to speak with government, because that's a very important responsibility we have as provincially or foundation-supported organizations. We have a responsibility to the stakeholders. We have a responsibility to the students that come to us wanting to be trained and prepared for a future job. So academia has to change a little bit, and we have to invest more effort in those conversations. We have to invest more effort in being part of those tables, such as the Business Higher Education Roundtable. We have to be even more invested in backbone organizations such as MyTax that do a very good job in bringing together the empowerment of academia with the needs of industry. It's a very critical organization that should be leveraged so that we do this right, so that the workforce of the future is shaped in the right kind of way. We probably need to build upon the backbone of MyTax. And finally, I would say that industry, this is not the question you asked about academia, but industry in Canada needs to be at the table more often with academia. And industry, to be frank, if you look at other nations, needs to invest in innovation and research at universities. There's not enough of that. And one of the best ways to align the strengths and needs of each of academia and industry is for there to be co-investment. There needs to be skin in the game from industry in what happens at universities. And universities have to have skin in the game in the training process. And so they have to get a little bit closer. Academia has to remain focused on its core mission of knowledge creation and inquiry. But to fulfill its mandate in terms of generating the workforce of the future or retraining individuals who've lost jobs, the two have to come closer together, and they have to come closer together quickly.
Is Canada particularly well positioned, particularly competitive in the education sector, the higher education in particular, and if so, why?
I would say there are a lot of strengths to the Canadian university sector, academic sector. One is that we have very high quality institutions. If you look at any of the global rankings, we have several universities in the top 100 and a couple in the top 50. So we have universities that are widely respected, that are very large research engines. And tremendous innovation is occurring at Canadian universities. So yes, this is an opportunity. I'll say that there's tremendous strength in Canadian universities and in colleges. And I would say that this is a moment of opportunity. I think it's recognized globally. I think that international students around the world want to come to Canada. I think that the fact that we're a welcoming place, that as a federal government, we thought about how to provide international students opportunities post-graduation. Those are all things that are widely known. I think that the investments that have been made in bringing industry and universities closer, for example, through MyTax, through BHER, are things that are pretty impressive that have been accomplished over the past several years. And so I think that this is a moment where if we get the plan right, we come together and we discuss how to think about how to train the next generation and to retrain those who have just been displaced from jobs, that this is an opportunity. And we have to seize that opportunity quickly.
We ask all of our interviewees if they had a 30 seconds opportunity to pitch either a person in Canada or a group. So I'm thinking everything from the Prime Minister, industry or academic leaders, the youth, investors, whoever you want. Who would you choose to pitch if your goal was to improve how we educate and train Canada's next generation of innovators?
The government has a tremendous convening power. And I would say the Prime Minister has an extraordinary opportunity to bring together people, whether it's youth that have ideas about how they want to be educated, how they want to be trained, what they want to see universities be, whether it's university professors or deans or provosts or presidents, whether it's CEOs of companies or backbone organizations such as MyTax or BHER. Government has an ability to bring everyone together. And so if I had a pitch, it would be to the Prime Minister to do exactly that. Bring everybody together, have a 2-day retreat, have thought leaders, and give them the challenge of thinking about how to establish new training programs that will give Canada a competitive advantage so that people who have lost jobs can be retrained, and so that the next generation can be retrained so that they can be gainfully employed, and also move Canada to a place where we have seized this opportunity to think about a post-pandemic and stronger, more resilient Canada.